Are you plain bored of woodworking? Get excited again with Fisheye's Make Your Own Sandpaper Kit. Fisheye's Sandpaper Kit comes with everything you see here. Just pick your paper, spread the glue, and shake on the sand. Voila! Beautiful handcrafted sandpaper. And if you act now, we'll include candy sprinkles absolutely free. What better way to say I love you than with a gift of sandpaper? Fisheye's Make Your Own Sandpaper Kit is just $19.99 wherever crappy gifts are sold.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 63 of the Hour Before Thursday Night Live. As usual, we request that there's no politics, religion, or racism expressed, and kindness and respect are expected of everybody in the chat. Our rules, and everybody's been good at following them. And everybody in the chat is a moderator. Without further ado, I think I'm going to introduce my guest co-host tonight, Mr. Bob Casey. How are you doing, Bob?
Hey, pretty good. How about yourself?
We got a good crowd to start. There's 23 people watching already.
That's good.
14 likes. I don't know about the rest of them, but we're doing okay. What's new with you, Bob?
Same old thing. I've been out in the shop all day, milling around, trying to get little projects done.
Yeah, good.
That's about it.
Get any flying done?
No, not today. I did the day before yesterday, but and then we had some rain, some weather come in. But I'm going to. I should have today, but I didn't.
I flew yesterday and today, and I rarely fly in the winter.
Has it been that good up there?
Yeah, not bad. It was +4 today. So it's what, 38, maybe 40, something like that. So we'll take it.
Not bad. That's not bad at all.
Yeah, got a little melt going on, and a snowstorm coming tomorrow night. So I had to clean up from the last storm today so that I can have a fresh start with the new snow that comes. But we've got a guest on this week. All the way. Oops, he just left. Oh, man.
Lockwood.
Yeah, Ron Lockwood's here. Scott from Jackrabbit FPV. Dennis Lovelady. Warren Akarasho's here. Dominic's here. Steve from Steven Drones. Matt from Maddie's Drone World. Barkley's here, number 53. No, 51. 107 Drones. Mike from Arrow Snapper. There's a good channel you gotta check out. He's from Kingston, Ontario. Drone Views Media from Ireland. Alan's here. Boy, who did I miss?
Mudbow Creative is in there.
Oh, Don, yeah.
Steven Drones.
Andy Cortez, El Smeghead's here.
Cortez.
Yeah.
Max Air. Drone Views Media.
Yeah.
Dennis Lovelady, brother Dennis. Hello, brother.
And Ron from RL Photography, and that's quite a crowd we got here. We'll take it. Now, without further ado, all the way from Fort Smith, Arkansas, Mr. Mel Koch.
And the crowd goes wild. 400
AGL and MKRC.
Yeah.
Mel said in the chat, hello, fellow Earthlings.
Hello, everybody.
Now,
Gary,
hey,
thanks for having me on as your guest.
Oh, it's a pleasure having you.
Bob, good to see you.
Oh, hold on. I
Bill.
forgot to do something here. Hang on. You can see here that you're on the Wall of Fame.
Uh-oh.
The Wall of Fame, you're over here, but on the let me get that out.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, Scott's poster, and you're the guest of honor, so you're the only one up here in color.
Scott's got one now that's got 130 names on it.
Yeah.
Wow.
130 faces.
Yeah.
He's drawn 130 faces. He's adding a lot more.
Well,
probably 50 more.
Well,
Oh, wow.
That's not fair. I haven't finished filling this one up. You can see all the little stickers that show everybody that's been on the show. And it's like collecting cards. Hey, need them, got them, need them, had them.
Yep.
You know, but no, it's really good to have you on, Mel. Everybody knows you from 400 AGL.
Right.
What's MKRC all about?
MKRC is my terrestrial RC channel and TikTok and Instagram and all that. That's where I do the RC crawl-in cars and trucks and custom builds and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool. That's really good.
I'm big into RC cars as well as planes and boats and trucks.
He's got some videos on his channel where he's fabbed them up and took parts and pieces and thrown them together. He's got a Frankenstein truck, man.
Yeah.
I like it. It's awesome.
Yeah. It's a whole different part of the hobby, you know. I had a remote control boat that I used to use in the pool, and I had a remote control snowmobile. Now, a remote control snowmobile is just a pain in the ass. You go out there and you hit a footprint and you're stuck.
Yep.
So then you go out and retrieve it and you make 10 more footprints going out there to get it, right?
Yep, exactly.
But, you know, I've seen you climbing over rocks and boulders and concrete blocks and all kinds of stuff, eh?
Well, that's the whole idea. We try to do the same kind of stuff that they do with full-size, you know, gas-powered regular rock crawlers.
Yeah.
It's high torque, high horsepower, and slow motion to the wheels. A baby on its hands and knees can outcrawl my best crawling truck.
Yeah.
As far as speed goes.
Yeah.
But I've got stuff that it'll be 47, 48, 50, 60 degrees angle.
Wow.
I can go straight up it.
You know, that stuff, it's fun to watch.
That's fun.
It's fun to watch.
The thing is when you've got different rocks and terrain and things, it's not just going straight up like you would the side of a grassy knoll. You know, you've got to find a route where you can get the traction and your tires hook up and dig in and pull the truck up a little more. And then you've got to find another route. So it's almost I could describe it as taking an RC truck, gearing it down to the lowest possible gear ratio that you can give it with the highest possible power motor you can give it to make it go as slow as it possibly can with the huge amount of torque. Mm-hmm. And then you play chess with the terrain. You see who can beat who.
I remember having do you remember the Suzuki Sidekick?
Yep.
We had one of those, and I was up at my in-laws' camp, and I can remember going up a hill, and it was so steep that the little tray that was on the dashboard dumped everything into the back seat.
Yep.
You know, but it's those tenuous situations you get into that really make it dramatic, right?
Yep, that's exactly right. And you can actually, we've got metal drive shafts, you know, that are steel drive shafts and axles and axle mounts and steering knuckles and everything is, even the axle housings, you know, we get those machined metal, and you can actually bind your RC car up the same way they can bind up the real full size ones, and brake axles and spin hubs and, you know, brake drive shafts and all kinds of stuff. Wow.
Good stuff. Now, are you still flying? You still in the drone hobby?
I fly occasionally. I'm pretty turned off by the drone hobby right now because of all the nonsense going on.
All the regulation and whatnot. Yeah,
exactly. It's I used to, and Bob can attest to this. And And anybody in chat that's known me for however long, the reason the channel name is 400 AGL, 400 feet above ground level, right?
Yeah.
My whole premise was based on fly legal or don't fly, period. The end.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I drove truck over the road for 40 years. You know how many speeding tickets I got in 40 years? 1. And that's because I crossed the state line from a speed limit of 70 to a communist state of 55 and just didn't even pay attention. Just I was on the phone yakking with my dad. I was crossing out of Indiana into Ohio, and I used to keep my mileage on a notepad on my dashboard because you have to, as an owner operator, you have to keep track of your miles and fuel by state. And I reached up on the dash pad, grabbed my notepad, and I wrote Ohio state line and my mileage. Tossed the pad back up on the dash and just kept right on cruising, you know. Cruise set on about 72.
Man.
At the 1.5 mile marker, there was 2 state troopers in the middle.
Oh.
I went smoking by another truck between them and the other truck, and I was in the left lane at 72 mile an hour. And I didn't even wait for him didn't even make him chase me. I just went ahead and pulled over. I saw him pull out behind me. So before he put his lights on, I just pulled on over, you know, got on the shoulder and started stopping. Yeah.
Wow. That's a tough one. That was the Flying Eagle Hilton, wasn't it?
That was my last truck.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That ticket I got was probably in 97 or 98, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I remember the Flying Eagle Hilton. I remember that in videos and stuff.
Yep.
And that's going back probably when I started flying 5 years ago. My channel name was just my name. And I'd been watching you, and I thought, 400 AGL. I wonder if I should make this 120 AGL because it's 120 meters in Canada.
True.
And then I thought, no, that'd be ripping off somebody else's good idea. So,
and you know, when I did that, I actually tried to register the domain name 400agl.com.
Oh yeah,
and somebody else already had it.
Yeah.
That's why mine's 400agl.net.
Oh, okay. I had brantaerials.com for a while, and it wasn't getting any traffic anyway, and I got sick of trying to do commercial work, so just dropped that.
Well, that's with me. You know, I'm not pursuing commercial work.
Yeah.
If someone has something that, you know, is close and I can do it and it's going to be profitable, then I'm not opposed to doing commercial work.
Yeah.
You know, my aircraft are registered. My 107 is current. I'm, you know, 100% legal. Night, I've got the strobes, you know, the whole 9 yards. But realtors want to give you $50 for 2 or 3 hours worth of work, and then they want you to shoot the inside of the house too. I'm a portrait photographer and I'm an aerial photographer. I am not a house photographer.
Yeah.
I don't have the desire to go through and spend hours color correcting the light from all the different rooms in a house to make it all balanced.
Mm-hmm.
That's not my cup of tea.
No. And then you get a realtor and they say, we want you there on this day. You fly it that day, you show them the footage and they say, well, the weather wasn't very good. Can you do it again?
Yep.
You just roll your eyes.
You know, I don't want this angle. I want that. You know, and you know, the realtor to me, realtors are just a pain in the ass. You know,
I 100% agree.
There's
guys that eat it up. There's guys that make videos, how to shoot real estate video, you know, and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and there are guys that have kind of maybe a better talent for editing, or they have an in with a really good real estate agent.
Yeah.
But most of us that, you know, I remember trying to break into the real estate work. They thought they were going to get me to do a video, and they did. They got me to do a video for $50. I went and I had to go to the airport to notify the airport manager that I was flying across the street, literally from the airport. It was wintertime. The trees were all dead. You know, everything was dormant, and the property looked like crap.
Yeah.
But I made an amazing 2.5-minute video.
Yeah.
And presented it to them, and they said, man, they just loved it. They were falling all over themselves. In the spring, they came back and they said, remember that demo video you showed us of so-and-so street? And I said, yeah. They said, well, now it's springtime and everything's blossoming, blooming, and pretty and green, and we want a new video. I said, okay, that'll be $325. And I don't go inside the house. They paid it.
Yeah.
I had them call me back on 2 or 3 different occasions to just fly over a property, 5 acres, 20 acres, give an idea of what the topographical looked like and what the property looked like.
Yeah.
And that was a $200 cash payment right then on the spot. I would show up, they'd pay me $200. I'd fly for 15 minutes and I'd hand them the SD card.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spend hours editing and doing all this stuff. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
No.
What I was doing was I was charging $300 for the flight and $500 if it was in restricted airspace. Right. And I was getting it. And I flew with the original Mavic Air. Right.
Yep.
And the Mavic Air paid for my Air 2S.
Well, that's cool.
And then I said, I'm not doing this anymore. Now
you wouldn't believe the Mavic Air I've got.
What have you got?
I've got a beta Mavic Air.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It came from Kelly Shores. Now, since then it's been updated, so it's no different than a regular Mavic Air. But this was a pre-release beta drone when it started its life. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I've still got the Mavic Air. I haven't flown it in probably a year, so it'd be interesting to see if the batteries come back.
And I'm not even set up to do real estate anymore. I sold my Mavic 2 Pro and bought a Mavic 2 Zoom instead. So I figured if I'm not going to use it for commercial work and nobody's going to pay a reasonable commercial price, then why bother with it? I'm going to have a drone I can have fun with.
Yeah. Oh no, that's the whole thing. I'm licensed to do whatever. I've got the advanced license here in Canada, so I can fly in some more restrictive airspace than some. But I just want to do it for fun.
Well, see, that's all I'm into now is more for fun and entertainment. I mean, hell, I've only got one battery from my Mavic 2 Zoom, Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to invest in it. I'm not going to get crazy about it. I've been dabbling and thinking about the idea of doing a digital FPV drone, but even the regulations are making that to where it doesn't even sound fun unless you become an outlaw.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anytime you're flying FPV, if you're flying alone, you're an outlaw, right?
Exactly.
You have to have a visual.
And anytime you fly an FPV, you're an outlaw before you fly because none of them guys register their drones. And they're all over 250 grams, So, and they're all doing it on YouTube and they're all that are monetized, So they're not 107. If they are 107, then
there's a lot of them that are now. There's a lot of them out there that are 107 certified, and there's a lot of them too that they register their drones too.
And that's good. Everybody used to think that $5 a drone, the FAA is getting rich. Well, the FAA doesn't even see that money.
Yeah,
it's just like the money it used to cost to go to. Yep.
Now that's my Canadian registration. There's my FAA registration.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm heading for Florida, so I better be registered, right?
Yep, that's true.
And,
although, like a carry permit or a gun permit, the United States would recognize your Canadian registration.
Oh, well, whatever. But I also got the trust certificate too, so
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
it. I got it fully covered, right? You know.
Yep. Yep.
You're ready.
Better
You
safe than stupid, right?
You see in the chat, Dennis Lovelady said we're going to have to start a razor fund. Oh,
Have to start a
go
what?
start a GoFundMe razor fund.
Well, I had comments on the thumbnail again this time. Too many beards because it was Bob and I with Sean Hyde from Sean Hyde Studios. So we had three beards last week too, or last show. So maybe I'll have to get a bald faced guy for next week or for next 2 weeks from now. You know. Uncle Bill's Toys is in the chat in Copper State Ariel.
Try to get Sean Oz because he's about bald and he keeps his beard really, really short. So.
We've had Sean Oz. Yeah,
Oh,
Sean.
okay.
Sean's been on. Kelly Shars has been on. Chris Waters, Ken Herron, Billy Kyle. Yeah, I'm looking over here. Just looking at all the little arrows, you know, it's hard to keep track of them all. Max and Tammy have been on, and Bob Dempsey, Chris Hope, you know. So it's hard to get the Australians because they're on at you know, what is it, 6 o'clock in the morning there or 7 o'clock in the morning? So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Joe Fodoleo has been on. Dennis has been on. I'm looking at the chat. Bill Renane hasn't been on because he works.
So I've officially joined the list of the famous then.
There you go, along with John from Flying Flea Media, who's also joined us. Let's just see how many people we got watching. Oh, hold on, where are we going here? Let me just refresh that. And we got 30 people watching and 16
for you.
Yeah. So
y'all hit that thumbs up.
Yeah, hit the thumbs up. Show Mel some love. Oh man! Now you were talking earlier too about lumber milling. You do some milling as well.
Yeah, I've got a Hudson sawmill, bandsaw.
Is that electric powered or?
No, it's gas powered.
Oh, gas powered.
Yeah. It's got a big Briggs and Stratton motor on it.
Wow.
And I can cut a 30-inch log.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Which is a pretty good sized log.
Yeah. What kind of length is the bed?
It's 7-inch I-beam and it's 34 foot. I lose 2 foot on each end, so I can technically cut a 30-foot log, though the longest I've had on it's about 22 or 24.
Holy smokes. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if I had some good 30-foot timber, I could cut some really nice 30-foot, you know, indoor ridge beams and stuff for post and beam building and stuff like that.
Yeah.
No,
I do a little bit of woodworking, but it's only like hobby stuff, hand tool stuff, and And I'll tell you, hardwood up here is hard to come.
Me too.
You know, you can't go to Home Depot or Lowe's or anything and buy, you know, a chunk of maple or a chunk of oak. You know.
Yeah.
So,
prices have been dropping here.
Yeah.
They've been dropping considerably too. I'm glad to see it.
Yeah. I got a bunch of oak flooring left over, and I just plane off the finish on both sides and use that for some stuff. But it's only 6 inches wide, 5.5 inches wide.
Yeah, I've got a little 12-inch planer, and I've got a joiner. I've got some shopsmith equipment. I need to get a head stock for the lathe, but I've got the shopsmith lathe and setup and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I inherited a lot of stuff.
I inherited a bunch of my grandfather's tools. He was a carpenter, and I had this old number 5 Stanley plane, right? That was his, but it was missing some parts. So I bid on an auction and I bought a number 5 Stanley plane just like his, thinking I would take the parts. Well, I got this Stanley plane for $50. I brought it home. I looked at the parts. I looked at his old plane and thought, this new plane's way better than the old one that he had. I don't have the heart to rape this one that works to fix up my grandfather's old plane,
Yeah.
You get in that kind of conundrum,
Some of that stuff you just take pride in hanging on the wall, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, big world with the cars, we call them that stuff shelf queens.
Yeah. Well, I still use it. So, it's like I'm driving that shelf queen,
I have a few things. To me nowadays, they're just a conversation piece.
Yeah.
I say that used to belong to my grandfather, and that's the reason why I keep it,
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah. Well, I might restore it so that it looks like a plane. It might not work like a plane, but
right.
It might be that kind of a shelf piece, But I've got the old brace and bit, for drilling holes and and I use. He had a what's the little plane? A little block plane, and I still use that regularly.
Yeah.
It's kind of neat to use some of the old stuff. Do it the way the craftsman used to do. Yeah.
I've got some stuff that was my grandfather's, like like the reaper. You sit there and you just rake it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That and a roller. Where you can dig up potatoes or you can put attachment. You can make a roll with it.
Oh yeah.
Things like that was left, and I thought, I'm taking it. If nobody wants it, I'm gonna keep it.
Yeah.
I could say that was my grandfather's.
Yeah. Well, I think you saw in the intro they were digging potatoes in the intro.
Yeah. I think that.
With the new modern equipment,
I put out 3 rows of potatoes, and I'm not going to plant anymore. Ain't no way I'm getting too old for that, man. Just getting down on the ground and digging them potatoes out. I'm just too old for it. You need a bunch of kids there to help.
Yeah.
Bob, you want to hear a fantastic garden story?
Let's hear it.
When my wife and I first moved to Tennessee in 1999, she wanted a garden. I said, okay. We had 2 3/4 acres. So I made friends with the neighbor that had a 48 horse tractor. And his tires were as big as tall as I was. So I asked him if he'd come turn the dirt over for me. He said, yeah, I got a 4-harrow plow. I'll come turn a plow. I'll come turn that over for you. So we'll let it set a couple weeks and I'll come disc it down. I said, okay. Well, in the meantime, I went out to John Deere and I bought a set of discs to pull behind my garden tractor. So a couple weeks later, he come and disced it down and made it all nice and flat. And I took my little thing with my garden tractor and I made my rows and we started planting radishes. The first row was radishes. And I was planting them a foot apart. And I said, now when these greens get about 2 inches tall, I want you to come in between here because I'll probably be on the road. I want you to come in between here and plant another one in between them, all the way down this whole row. She was like, okay. The next row over, now this garden was 15 or 18 foot wide and probably 40 foot long. So that's a 40-foot row of radishes for a home garden, right?
It's a lot of radishes.
That's a whole lot of radishes. Then we get to the tomatoes. The next row over, we're going to put tomatoes in. So we start planting tomato plants. And she says, well, I want more plants. I said, no, you don't. You don't want more plants. I said, these 10 plants right here are going to make more beefsteak tomatoes than you can eat. I said, you don't do any canning or nothing. So, unless you carry them to work and give them away, it's a waste. Now I want more. Okay. I gave her a 30-foot row of tomatoes. Now you know what happened with them tomatoes. Well, so come time to start harvesting some of this stuff. I had corn and green beans and watermelon and all kinds of stuff. But come time to harvest this, first set of radishes coming up. The tops were about 6 inches tall. I mean, they looked really good, maybe 7. And I wiggled a couple of them around, and you could see the bulbs was probably 2 inches across. I said, okay, I'm going to let you get the first one. She reached down and grabbed hold of it and broke the top right off of it. I said, no, you got to wiggle it around in the dirt. That's a big ball you're trying to pull out of that dirt. I said, it's been growing and expanding and compacting the dirt around it. I said, you got to wiggle that and get it all loose and stuff. So she went to the next one and she pulled out this radish. And this happened to be the first 8 or 10 feet was red and white hybrids. And that radish was big around as this water bottle. I mean, it was huge. She got it out of the ground and she's looking at it. I mean, with the daggumblest look on her face like you never seen. I said, what's the matter? That's a beautiful radish. Look at the size of that thing. I swear to God, strike me dead. She said, yeah, but there's only one. She had never seen a radish come out of the garden. All she ever seen was come out of the produce department.
Yeah.
I mean, you pick up a radish in the produce department, you get a dozen of them. Yep.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
Turn
man.
out.
Yeah. And the same with carrots, right? You know, sometimes you'll get a double carrot, you know, but
and 3 or 4 months later, she was cussing me for so many tomato plants. She was carrying tomatoes to work in shopping bags, giving them away.
Yep.
I said, well, I tried to tell you. No.
We had a guy come into work one time with a wheelbarrow full of tomatoes.
Yeah.
He just wheeled them up into the back of his truck and said, anybody who wants tomatoes, there's a wheelbarrow full out in the truck.
Yep.
We got a few more come into the chat. God bless America. Flying Flynn Media, Have Drone Will Fly. Copper State Aerial Photography. Good to see you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. We got a good crowd in here tonight.
So what's the next question, Gary?
Well, you know, this is the thing. We don't script this, you know.
Oh, I thought you had a list.
Now?
I got a notebook.
Okay. Hell, I thought I was going to be on the hot seat here.
Now you were doing some commercial work in California too, weren't you?
I was. I did.
Now, yeah. Now, but that was for the utility company out there, or what was that about?
I was flying for a company called Precision Hawk.
Yeah.
It was 2-man teams, a pilot and a sensor operator. So the pilot made double the money of the sensor operator because he was responsible for maintaining the aircraft and keeping the battery charged and all that stuff, getting ready to go the next day.
Pilot in command.
My job was to take pictures. And even though this is where the funny part comes in, Bob. Even though the PIC made the final decision as to for a go or no go on a flight, he couldn't take off, he couldn't land, and he couldn't move that aircraft without me telling him to do it.
Because you were the pilot in command.
No, he was the pilot in command. I was a sensor operator. But in order for him to move the aircraft where I needed it to be to take a picture, because 9 times out of 10, we were far enough away from the structure that he couldn't position the drone to take a picture. So I had to tell him where to move, how high to go, how low to go, when to go up, when to go down, when to go sideways, when to go forward or backwards. And he was never allowed to technically have the drone face him. The drone always had to face away from us. That way there was 2 things that could happen. The drone would always be left as left, right as right. Okay.
Yeah.
And if something were to happen to the PIC where he dropped, I could grab the controls and I knew the orientation of the drone, even though I hadn't yet never seen the drone.
Wow.
Because I'm looking at a screen. I'm not looking at the drone. I'm not the spotter.
Okay.
His job was to fly the drone and keep it in visual sight. My job was to take the pictures and tell him where to put the camera.
So your camera view was independent of his FPV view.
Yes, you have two controllers on the Inspire 2s that we were flying.
Yeah.
You have two controllers. He had an FPV view and a camera view, and I had a camera view on my controller.
Okay.
And my controller wouldn't fly the aircraft. It was a slave controller to the master.
Okay.
It would only operate. So my sticks didn't control the aircraft. They controlled the movement of the camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't allow him to turn around and fly towards himself because of the left and right thing, or what was?
Yep.
Wow.
It was all, the drone was to be oriented facing away at all times.
Wow. So you couldn't orbit anything.
Nope. We never did an orbit. We'd come up to the structure. I'll call this position 1. And I would angle the camera 45 degrees off the front of the drone, and I would shoot my pictures, and I would have him climb the tower as I would shoot the pictures. And then when I got those shots done, he would come back down to ground level because we had to shoot the base and everything. And then I would move him past the tower, and I would rotate the camera 45 degrees to the right rear, let's say.
Yeah.
And then we'd climb the tower and take all the pictures. And then
These
we
were
had
power
to,
line towers, right?
Yeah, all power line structures. And we had to clear the tower by 50 feet to cross over the power line to come down all the way to the ground. And then I'd rotate the camera back around to about 45 degrees or so to the left rear and down, and we'd climb and shoot all the shots. And
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So so in that situation, you could actually do an orbit without changing your.
the orientation of the aircraft stayed the same.
Yeah.
Because, and another part of the reason for that was the commands for the movement of the aircraft. It wasn't ascend or descend, it was climb and descend. That way they could never misinterpret descend for ascend.
Yeah.
If I had to move, I don't remember the exact terms, but if it was in or out, in meant right or toward the power line, out meant away from the power lines, the structure. And on the other side, then that became reversed. In became left for him and out. So instead of me trying to say left or right, I would say in or out. And then he knew what he had to do with the aircraft based on which side of the structure we were on.
Yeah, if you guys ain't coordinated, you're going to have a crash.
And they had that all set up in a standardized method of communication. That way, if I was called out sick one day and my pilot had to fly with a different guy, they could still communicate. Or if my pilot was out sick one day, I could take the aircraft and give it to another pilot, and we could still communicate and get the day's job done.
Yeah. So it was
all standard communication.
Yeah.
How long did you do that, Mel?
That was about 4 months, I think I was out there on the West Coast. Thank you so much.
So you had to, did you have to go back through into the sticks? I mean, to get back to some of these towers? I know they have pretty good pathway for them. But
A lot of them had
roadways.
roadways. Yeah, we had, they had leased Ford F-250s, 4-wheel drive, 4-door, and brand new trucks, Bob. I mean, brand new off the lot, man. And some of the places we took them trucks and the things we did to them. Oh my God.
That's where you got into rock crawling, right?
Well, there was an interesting thing. We went into one where the ditch that we had to cross because of water drainage was so deep that when we went down into it, the front bumper hit the other side of the bank. And I said, man, I don't know if we're going to get across this. He said, yeah, we will. Watch this. He backed up about 4 feet and he nailed the throttle and across the
Oh, good stuff.
Would you go back to doing that now if they called you?
I don't know if I would now or not. Now my knees are a lot worse than they were then. And there was a couple times where my pilot had to move down some terrain that was impassable for me to do because of my left knee when I broke my leg.
Yeah.
So, and there was no good place in the brush to launch the drone. So I stayed up on the road and made sure the traffic was clear. And then I would do the pre-trip and everything and get the drone ready to fly while he hiked down the canyon. And we had headsets, walkie-talkies, or cell phones, whichever would work. And we would communicate, and then he would take off from a takeoff spot that I selected that he never had no clue where the drone was when he took off until it got in the air where he could see it. And then there was a tower right next to the road. There was one 500 yards down in the valley, and then the lines made a turn, almost a 90-degree turn, and went off into the boondocks. And we flew the next two structures, and I never saw the aircraft. Once it left the tower where he was standing and went, I never saw the aircraft again after that until it come back over my head where I cleared him to land.
Is that the only thing y'all flew was the Inspires? You didn't try any other drones?
No, they had Inspire 2s with X7 cameras. And at that time, we caused a problem for DJI because Precision Hawk either rented or purchased every X7 camera there was in the country.
Wow.
Well, we had 140 of them.
Ooh. Ooh.
How many was working with that outfit with you?
There was where we were at, we had 75 teams. So 150 guys.
You guys can cover some ground.
And not only did we, it was 2 man to a team. Sometimes there'd be 3 because sometimes we were in territory where we needed a 3rd man as bear patrol. And then we had what we called a data collector, data guy, something. At the end of the day, we had to take our SD cards out and turn them over to one guy that collected the data for all the teams. And then he was in charge of organizing all those SD cards for what section of what line, because all the lines have numbers and mile markers, and the towers all have numbers on them. So every tower has a number on it. And the way a tower, the way the legs, say a 4-legged big giant erector set style tower.
Yeah.
The way the legs are numbered on that tower, the feet, as you go out the power line from the transmission station, the first leg on the left would be leg number 1. The next one back would be 2. The one on the other side of the power line would be 3. And then the one closest to you on the right side would be leg number 4. So on a big lattice structure, we had 4 legs, and we had to photograph every leg, and we had to overlap our photographs by a few feet so that they didn't miss a single inch of any portion of that lattice tower. We had to shoot the insulators and the connectors that support the power line. We had to shoot those from 3 angles, one from about 45 up, one from straight on, and one from about 45 down. So if we're looking at a lattice structure that has 3 lines hanging on it, okay, we have 3 photographs for each line. That's 9 photographs just on the one corner of the insulators, not to mention probably 15 photographs up the structure. And then you move to the next leg. You start at the bottom and you work your way up, and you get all the from that angle. And then we had to shoot the other side from this side so that we could see the back side of those insulators on the other side of the structure.
Oh, man.
So what kind of money was this guy that was doing the data collecting and collecting all those SD cards and gathered up all that? Man, they had to be paying him well.
they were paying him pretty well. I don't know what he was making. I think it was $75 an hour.
Because that's a lot of data. That's a lot of shots and a lot of, you have to have it.
He didn't,
Like you said,
he
one,
never
2,
looked,
3, 4.
he never looked at a single one. All he did was collect the SD card from us with our paperwork for what line and what tower sections, what number of towers we shot that day. And he would package it all up and present it back to our office, Precision Hawk's office, in a organized file method system that they had worked out.
Yeah.
And each data collector only collected data from like 10 crews. So there was like 10 data collectors. And then they would all turn it into one guy.
That makes sense.
Yeah, they would all turn theirs into one guy, and he would organize it all in chronological order. And then that all got sent to the electric company.
Man, what a nightmare, eh?
Oh, there was a lot to it.
Yeah.
And we had to sign NDAs for what we were doing and who we were working for. We weren't supposed to talk about none of it because
I remember that when you were out there, you couldn't tell us what you were doing.
Yeah, it was.
I remember that.
Now I can talk about it, 10 years later, whatever. But it was PG&E, and they had some power lines fall that caused a fire, and people died. So there was a lot of crap going on over that.
Lots at stake there to make sure you got it right, eh?
Yeah, and I only know of 3 Inspires that got shot down during that time.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Really?
They ever catch the guys that shot them down?
Oh yeah. Whether or not they chose to prosecute, I don't know. That was above our pay grade, so to speak.
Yeah.
But yeah, they because out there in the wilderness and wine country and stuff, they've got guys that grow marijuana with the trunks of the marijuana thing that's this big around, and it looks. A guy showed me a picture of his grow field, and I thought he was standing amongst pine trees or something.
Well, you got to go out there and mill that stuff.
Yeah, right. Well, they think that you're spying on them.
Yeah.
And they don't hesitate for a second to start shooting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We had a guy come to us on his 4-wheeler one day, and he was carrying a rifle. And he said, "Get that drone off of my property or I'm going to shoot it down." And I said, "First, listen to me. Let me tell you what we're doing. Here's the pictures. This is what we're photographing.
You're spying on me."
Exactly. We ain't even pointed at your property. We're taking pictures of this power line structure. We're being paid by this company to do this for PG&E. And this is my camera roll right here. I'm showing you the pictures. I said, so yeah, we've got nothing to do. We don't care what you grow. We don't care what you do. You can be running a nudist camp and we wouldn't care. We'd never see a bit of it. I said, but so he didn't shoot us down, and he let us go and let us continue our mission that we had that day.
Yeah.
But
where some just shoot and ask questions later, right?
No, they don't even bother. They just shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And our instructions were, if our drone got shot down, leave the area. Don't go try to recover the drone. None of that. Leave the area, get to a safe place, and call law enforcement and have them go recover the drone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's going to be laying on the ground next to the tower if there's not a fire burning.
Yeah.
From the bullet, from the battery.
From the lipos going up in flames, eh?
Yep. Yeah. But for example, every structure, every power line structure, I don't know how Canada does it, but in the US, Bob, and everybody in chat, every power structure, even if it's a wooden pole, it has a tag on it with a number.
Yep.
That number is on big lines, transmission lines. It'll be a number like 0-001. That structure is 0 less than a mile from the transmission station, and that's structure number 1. Then you might have, let's say it takes 3 structures to cover a mile. So you'll have 0, 001, 002, 003. The fourth structure will be 1, 001, and then 002, 003, and then 2,
Right.
001. So you know if you're 2 miles from the transmission center, or if you're 50 miles or 100 miles from it, you know, and you know which number structure, and then all the legs are numbered. So by us being assigned to shoot X number of towers in a day, from tower number 98007 to 109015, we've got 40 towers we got to shoot that day, and they know exactly where those towers are. And then because we shoot the shots in order, they know exactly. We always shot leg 1 first, or maybe it was leg 2. I can't remember. Maybe it was 1, 2, 3, 4. I remember it seemed weird the way it was set up when I remember doing it. But so based on which leg in that series, they knew which side and where we were on that structure, taking those pictures if they saw something they had to address.
Wow.
Yeah, each one of those towers got to be numbered, and even the power lines got to be numbered. Me working at power plants, when you start from the transmission yard, you got to go by the first tower. That first tower, it's labeled, it's numbered. Everything is numbered.
Everything is numbered, and it's all mapped out on their stuff, so they know exactly. If I go tell them structure number 154012, leg 3, the middle line has some broken insulators on it, they know exactly where to send that helicopter crew out to go fly and fix that thing.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot about that type of stuff because I had no idea that power structures were numbered and all that, and how they were numbered by how far they are away in miles, and then number, you know.
I want to say hello to Captured Live Connection. Stevie, what's up? Lambo Zambo, he's here. Jim's Droney. Thomas Ariels, my Irish friend, he's here.
Yeah.
Thomas.
And
hello, everybody in chat.
Chris Waters from Sunrise Water Media. Did we mention Chris? Yeah.
I didn't mention Chris. Oh, Chris.
Yeah. So
anyway.
I've
got a line that y'all can use when you go in the next time you go in a furniture store.
All right, lay it on.
Ask them. Let's say you're looking at a sofa, a really long one. Say, how many people you reckon this will fit with no problem? And they'll give you a number of how many people they think can sit on that sofa with no problem. And then you say, well, okay, that's kind of interesting, but I don't think I know that many people with no problem.
Very good. Good stuff. Well, we're coming up to the hour. Did we miss anything, Mel?
No, and the seat wasn't near as hot as I anticipated.
No,
I've been co-hosting. I've been on other live streams and join streams and things.
You had your own live stream for years, dude.
Yeah. But what I was going to say is I've never been asked to come on as a guest. This is the first time I've ever been asked to come on as a guest. So good for you, Gary. You broke the mold.
If you're available in 2 weeks, so that would be the 16th.
Now, we already talked about that.
Are you going to be available? You're going to be available to co-host?
Doubtful.
Okay.
I don't know where I'm going to be 2 weeks from now.
Okay. I've got a substitute in the wings anyway, so we'll
Bob's your co-host. He's your guy, man.
No, I got hit by the
covered.
same thing you just got hit with last time.
He's got this covered, man.
See, here's the thing. This is the stream where the guest is the next co-host.
Yeah.
So
so if you come in as a guest, you better be prepared to co-host.
we've been rotating since Jim Beauchart's retirement. So.
Oh, well, you
get back in the saddle, Jim Beauchart.
Yeah. Get Chris Waters. Get Lon Denard would be a good one.
Lon and Art. I haven't had Lon on yet.
He'd be a good one. He would be a good one. Line
Yeah.
knows drones.
Lon is very knowledgeable. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Well, when I first saw you come on, I thought you had borrowed Lon's couch.
Lon's got that endless shelf, man. He'll pull something out of there, man. Next thing you know, he'll show one drone, and then next thing you know, it's another drone. Then he reaches over here, and he's got another one he pulls out. The endless shelf, man.
I could do that with RC trucks.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Anyway, thanks so much, Mel.
Don't you have another channel before we get off here? Don't you have another channel?
That's what MKRC is. MKRC Builds.
MKRC Builds.
Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok.
Yep. It's down in the description in the doobly-doo down there. And it's also in the thumbnail. Yeah.
Chris.
All right. Good stuff. The next one will be the hour before the day before St. Patty's Day, says Thomas Ariels. So
St. Patty's Day.
Have to have
get
a St.
your green
Patrick's
on,
Day.
boys. Get your green on.
Oh, get your green on.
Yep.
Avada. Anyway, thanks so much. We'll play the outro. If you want to hang around, Mel, we'll have a little conversation after.
Well, thanks for having me as a guest, Gary. I appreciate it. Bob, good to see you. Everybody in chat. Hope you enjoyed it.
Good stuff. Now, here's the part where I get all screwed up is I have to figure out how to play the intro or the outro.
I'm gonna hang in the green room.
Okay. Let me figure out what I'm doing. Oh Jesus. I just went full screen on the chat. How do I get out of there? Oh man.
Oh man.
Oh. Geez, what a production.
Just be calm and click away. You'll figure it out.
What a production this is. Hold on now. Oh, there's the outro over here. I put that up in there. Oh no, it didn't stick. I got my chat in front of the window. There we go. Okay.
Barkley, my man. See you, man. I love that guy. I met him in Nashville. He's one good dude.
Oh, where are we? There we are. Thanks, everybody.
Special thanks to everybody that stuck around to the end of the show of the hour before TNL, all 2,417 of you.